What is up, guys? It's your boy obbldude. Today we're continuing the 700 ped challenge. This is episode 2. Now, I want to kind of reflect and talk about some things in the first video of this, but we still have 500 ped in regular ammo. We got some of this stuff that we got off camera. We're going to talk about that pretty much right now. So, once I got done recording yesterday, the first video, I was like, you know what? I want to try to burn through some more of this ped. I'm going to do some of this off camera, and then I'll kind of just come back and talk about it. So, we ended up looting a Restoration Chip 1 off camera yesterday after the first video was done. And I had a feeling I was like, I don't really want to, but I'm like, you know what, it's going to take forever to burn through this. And if I wait to record a video on like a daily basis or something, it's going to be a lot harder. So I was like, you know what, let's just burn through some more of this. We'll play for like an hour or two and we'll just kind of get what we get. And we got the restoration chip, and then I had to pretty much turn on OBS again. And that update is part of that first video if you haven't seen that. And yeah, if you haven't seen that first video at all, you should watch that first one, then come back and watch this one. Or watch this one and then go and watch that one, whichever one. But I want to talk about some things because some things kind of came to my attention through kind of our first run. So we did 5 hours last session. This session we're going to do about two, maybe three, just because five was a little too much, or at least all at once. Um, but we got some good stuff. We were down a little bit. Got that restoration chip, which definitely helped. During for this run too, we had 500 ped in regular ammo, but we're going to count it as like 320 because we ran through that 20 off camera yesterday and we still have that in the inventory. So we're going to count that 20 ped as well. So we're going to count that 20 ped for this run. So whatever we end up spending from 500, we'll just add 20 to that, and then um, we'll see what we end up with. In that 5 hours, almost 6 hours with adding the off camera too. I mean, we got a decent amount of stuff, and we went through about 250 in ped, and we got a decent amount of stuff. The only thing is, it took that long to get, the amount of tier twos that we got, which was about, I don't know the exact number. I think it was like 28, but I think it was like 4 or 5 ped worth. So it took a while to get just that amount with what we're doing, which makes sense. And then in that time, we got 16 twin tokens, which I was expecting about 20, and I was hoping closer to 20. But we're pretty close to 20 anyway. But 16 in the twin tokens in that time. And the big thing to really note is that in almost 6 hours it took to get that restoration chip. Now, some days, in some instances, it could be faster, it could be longer, I would assume. But I wonder if we spend like another 250 to 300 ped. I'm curious to see if we can get another one of those restoration chips, because that is the best markup that you can pull here. Because if it's full TT, which I think they usually come full TT, full TT is 450 ped, so 4 ped, 50 pec. And then with almost a 500% markup, it's like 430 something, almost 450. So it's got the best markup out of all the items, and when you do loot it, you get the most TT, but it's really hard to loot and it takes a while to loot. Or at least doing what I'm doing, like the exact setup and my levels and all that. Um, who knows, maybe some different configurations you might be able to get it quicker, but you might end up losing more, so that might be the difference. But yeah, we can maybe expect every 250 to 300 ped, or every 5 to 6 hours we might get a restoration chip, which that would be kind of cool if that was the case. Because with the amount that we're grinding out, I feel like we would do that quite a bit, and if we could get more chips, that would be even better. But I think it's just interesting that like it seems like the longer you grind, the more ped you cycle. Um, what it seems like is you have a better chance of getting the harder to get items, plus high markup as well, but things like the restoration chip as well. And that really did help, because now we're down only about 20 ped now, as opposed to 30 before that chip. And we got pretty much all of our TT back in value with other stuff. And that run was only like 30 minutes too, so like it didn't take long before we hit that restoration chip. And it was probably an hour and a half after we stopped recording too, because I was like, you know what, I want to do a little more. But yeah, so right now we're kind of just running through these mobs again. We're trying to see what we can get. Now we've added something new to our grocery list here is restoration chips. I had no idea that they dropped those. I was actually surprised when I saw it. When I saw it pop up, I'm like, no way. Like I didn't believe it for a second, and then I really didn't believe that I didn't record it. So then I'm like, wow, I really don't believe that. So now we're recording all of it, no matter what. The entire time because when stuff like that happens, I definitely want to show that. And the fact that I couldn't show that is kind of upsetting. But we got it though, and we did loot it. So let's see if we can get another one. Probably wouldn't be today with the amount of time we're doing, unless we jump back on later, which we might. And we'll be recording that too. But that's like the interesting thing is like, I want to see now if every 5 to 6 hours or 250 to 300 ped if we can get something like that, like another restoration chip or maybe a big hit of something like a paint can or um, even a tier 2. That would be nice. Some big hit maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Like I'm excited to see what else can happen going through, still needing to go through 500 ped. And I mean, today we'll probably be lucky if we go through 150 in this episode. So most likely we'll be going through close to 150. Because yesterday with 5 hours, we went through about 215. Then off camera, another 20. So that was about 235 is our spend now in total. And that took 5 hours. And like I was going the entire time. Like the only time I stopped was going back to repair when I needed to. That was it. Other than that, we were grinding the whole time, and we didn't even hit 250 ped. So I mean, with 700 ped doing what I'm doing, I mean, if you want to do a 24-hour grind, I mean, you could easily do that, like without even having to worry. And some other interesting stuff that I've been noticing, or it seems like it's correlating a little bit, is when I get like a bunch of decent loot in a row, it then follows up with kind of like mainly just shrapnel hits, which seems like might start happening soon. But that's kind of an interesting thing because it's like, okay, now you're more broken even leveled out, so now Mind Arc's got to kind of take a little more off the top. So it does make sense that they would do that. It's just the thing that kind of grinds me a little bit is like when it comes to markup items and selling items on the auction. I mean, the markup doesn't come out of Mind Arc at all. So I feel like when it comes to like what you get via TT value, even if the markup's good, I feel like should still kind of be, I don't know, a little more consistent just because that markup's not even coming out of Mind Arc's pocket. So I feel like I mean, it's kind of unfortunate though, because like if they do that too much and then there's too much of it on the market, then prices are going to go way, way down. So that's really the only downside. But I gotta give it to Mind with all this time that they've kind of dedicated to this game, it kind of seems like they're starting to figure out how things work and kind of what makes things good versus not, and not like completely messing with things too much. Sometimes they do. Like sometimes if a spot's too good, I feel like, in my opinion, um, I feel like sometimes they'll do something to it, which, I mean, makes sense. But I mean, like I said, if it's just mainly markup, I mean, that shouldn't matter to MindArt because that's not coming out of their pocket. Well, I guess it might be because that's more money going to you and not more money getting lost to MindArt. So I guess either way, yeah, I guess it makes sense. But it's like at least if we could get a little more leniency when it comes to the markup, like, or a little more recognition that like we're going off markup. So like if some of the hits could be a little better, um, in some instances. I'm not saying so much with these guys either. Their loots are like pretty insane, honestly. Um, but I'm just talking mainly consistency, because it's like I don't know. Maybe if I get my skills up, I can make that happen more for my character. So maybe that is a thing. But kind of going back to the episode yesterday, I want to give a quick shout out in this video. I'm sorry, I think I forgot your name. I think your in-game name might be Hardy or something. But yeah, I was out here grinding these, and he said what up, and we were talking a little bit, and that was pretty cool. He recognized me from the videos. He was actually I think he was watching a video as he saw me in game, which I thought was hilarious. But I thought that was crazy that that happened. But yeah, if you guys ever see me in game, feel free. I mean, even if I'm making a video or just like grinding these out, I mean, I was doing both pretty much. So I just want to give a shout out to that viewer because yeah, that was pretty cool. That was like one of the coolest Entropia interactions I've ever had, honestly. So I thought that was pretty cool. But going back to the run from yesterday from like a financial standpoint now, or I guess economical or something, I don't know. But, we were getting a lot of these double hits and stuff. But there was a couple times where we were getting a good amount of stuff over shrapnel. So like we would get 3 peck of shrap and then like 24 peck of something with good markup. Those I really like to see. Yes, as for cycling, that might not be as ideal, but we're really trying to go for the markup and sell as much as we can on auction and have it be worth it. End of the day, moral of the story here, guys, is if you have 700 ped and you do low level hunting like this, you're gonna be able to play. You can grind for hours this way. Like you want a low level way of grinding where you don't have to spend like a crazy amount. Like yeah, 700 ped's still a good amount, but it's not like 7,000 ped. You know what I mean? So like doing stuff like this in 700 ped, I mean, you can grind for a super long time. And as long as your skills are there, it should be worthwhile for the most part. Bro, that should have been my twin token right there, but instead I'm getting shrap. Rather the twin token than the shrap. Especially since just one is worth like 10 more peck than that. So it's just so much more worth getting it. I want to talk about some of our results at the end too from yesterday. Just because I think they're worth mentioning again. Um, So when we were playing, we were basically spending about $4 USD every hour doing this exact thing that we're doing right now. So to play, it cost us about $4 per hour. And thinking about cycling too, it technically doesn't have to be more $4 each time. It's almost like cycling $4 each hour. So it's a little different. And every hour MindArc is making about 60 cents USD every hour that we're playing. So after the 5 hours, it was about $3 that MindArc made from that whole session yesterday. And we got all that playtime, all that loot, all that markup, that restoration chip even. And I mean, I think it's funny that there's kind of the argument or the contingency of Entropia being a scam. I mean, you can argue casinos are a scam. I mean, technically, I guess honestly they kind of are. Um, but I mean, this at least you have a better chance of getting your stuff back and then being able to like play and like keep playing over and over. You might not make like a bunch as you could at a casino maybe or a slot machine, but the amount that you're going to be able to play is a lot more doing this. And I mean, some people just want to jump on for 30 minutes and see what they can get too. I mean, I've been there too. I've been there too. 'Cause like there have been times where I'm like, okay, I feel like doing a run, but I don't want to spend too much time. I only want to do it for like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So I'll go for like 100 ped or something, then I'll try to like just get through it while still trying to be profitable. Um, or at least breaking even or not losing too much. I should say not losing too much. Um, and so I get that part too. Like sometimes you just want to get in, get out, and just be done with it. You just don't feel the grind, but you want to play for like a tiny bit. See, lately, I don't know. I've been feeling the grind, and I don't know why. Like I've been trying to grind other games, and I've been grinding Entropia like way more, and it's kind of taken away from that other stuff that I'm doing. Um, so I gotta try to take a quick step back, a little bit. And with these videos, since I gotta record everything just to be sure because of that restoration ship situation, I only have time to really record at a certain amount of time during the day. So once that time's over, it's kind of like a done deal at that point. And then I'm like, okay, I can't grind anymore today because I gotta keep doing the 700 ped challenge. So then I can focus on the other videos I want to do. So it kind of works out, I think, doing this challenge series now because now I can kind of schedule it out, and that'll be kind of my Entropia grinding for right now, just because I'm not gonna have time for anything else otherwise if I grind more than I'm already doing. But like I said, I've always done those like small runs before. I've never done like a massive grind like for days or something on end in Entropia. But I'm digging it though. Like it's fun just like waiting and kind of seeing what you can get. Now, as far as markup stuff, we're not in the best position right now for that. However, we have only run through not even 30 ped. Like I think what 28-ish because we were at 501, so about 28-ish. So this stuff runs slow, but hey, if you're trying to play, it's the best way to go. So depending on how much we spend too is going to kind of depend on what I'm expecting out of this run. Because from what I noticed yesterday, like the first 100 to 150 ped we spent, like it was kind of a lot of nothing. Like kind of what we're getting now, a bunch of shrap, bunch of other stuff. But if you can grind or have a grind schedule and just keep cycling and replacing all this lower stuff with the higher stuff over time, I mean, it's better than, you know, hunting something random and just getting a bunch of shrapnel back because you're going to get a bunch of shrapnel back here, but you're going to get a bunch of other stuff too. So, I mean, either way, if you're hunting low level anyway, I mean, you might as well do something like this. Maybe not 700 ped, but like try to do a decent grind or cycling session, like maybe 15, I mean, 150 ped or something, and cycle that through a couple days or a week maybe. I don't know. I don't know how long 700 ped's gonna last us, but that's what we're here to find out. Spoiler alert, it's gonna last a long, long time. I can't wait to get a little more efficient and be able to take out like some higher level stuff that can be good. Starting to kind of do some research on some higher level stuff just so I can have an idea when I get to that point, what I might want to do. And I'm kind of pumped for that too, even though the cost is going to go up so much, like probably 10x what I'm doing here. So if I wanted to do a run like this at like level 20, I'd probably have to do like 7,000 ped, which that's like a huge difference as far as bankroll and overall spend goes. Okay, nice. I mean, it was 11 ped strap, but not bad. First global here. That's pretty lit. First global doing this massive test run. Almost 3 hours into this run. So probably 7 to 8 hours in total before we hit a global, but let's go. So I'm starting to conclude here that once you get past the hour and a half, 2 hours, at least with this weapon, with the ammo that's spent and everything like that, um, the longer you go, the better the results I've been seeing so far as markup and then globals apparently and all that. So if I had quit out after 2 hours, I mean, we'd probably be a little more in rough shape, I think. And since the 2 hour mark, the markup items started coming in a lot more, as well as the twin tokens. But yeah, I've been noticing roughly around the 2 hour to 2.5 hour mark, that's when things really start to kind of pick up. I'm wondering if we push it another little bit. I'm wondering, can we get another chip? I don't know. All right, so we're at the end of the session. We ran through a little over 5,000 shots, I think, in 3.5 hours. We didn't get as much of the markup stuff as we did the other day, I don't think. A little bit less, a little more strap, and a little more eye oil. But we did hit that global, so I'm kind of curious what we're looking for in this run. Now, our spend was, let's see, we started with 501, we're at 351. That's actually crazy. So that would be 150 ped for this run initially. So let's see what we ended up with. We can move the twin, and we'll have to include that with all the other markup, which, wow. Okay, that's insane. That global really, really helped. Um, as far as markup goes, I mean, with 11 of these, oh, actually, so I forgot to add the extra 20 ped as well. So actually, it's not 150. We spent 150 today, like specifically within these 3.5 hours, but then I added 20 ped to the run that we did last night. Okay, that makes more sense. So now we are down another 20 ped-ish, 21 ped, and we were down 21 ped from yesterday too, which is kind of interesting that it seems to be pretty consistent like that. Now with markup, I will say it's probably less. Um, it's kind of hard to get a gauge, but I'm gonna say maybe like 2 ped max. So we might be down about 19 ped. Let's just call it another 20 ped right there. Now, I'm curious to see what we have in total as well. All right, so our target is 405. Let's see what we got in total here. So 342. So yeah, we're down about actually probably more than 42 actually. That's why I'm kind of glad I did that, even though we aren't including some stuff, but still it's a good rough estimate. So 342. So we're actually down more like 63 ped from what it seems, between today's run and then yesterday. So you would think, so maybe some of that math was kind of off a little bit. Plus, it's not everything, so it might be at like 350-ish. The twin tokens that we got, that's another 10 ped technically. And with all the markup, I mean, it's kind of hard to say off the cuff. Um, maybe if we're lucky, 4 ped, maybe. So I mean, we're down at least close to 60 ped, I would say. So it's looking rough for us overall in total for everything. Um, the run itself was actually pretty good. Um, well, we were still down close to 20 actually, so either way. So it seems like we're consistently losing roughly about 20 ped each time. That's kind of what it seems like. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting here. Oh, I forgot some of the bones too. So that would have been, not much. So yeah, I mean that's pretty close to where we're at. So, but that doesn't mean much because it's not over yet. We could get a bunch more twin tokens. We could get a bunch more markup stuff. And when it comes to cycling through it again, that's really where a lot of this experiment is kind of heading towards. So we can't really say anything for sure until we start cycling through even more. Do I have any more of those? I don't think so. I think these are the only fire adaptive fire rate components I got. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, that's where we're looking at. We're down about, let's just say, pretty confidently down 60 ped right now as far as the entire run goes. Um, and we're consistently kind of losing the same amount. Um, if we kept going for an extra hour, hour and a half, we might have been able to make that up a little more compared to yesterday. But as for right now, we're down about 60 ped. I would say after markup, probably down about 60 ped, maybe 58 at best. Um, so yeah, that's where we're at so far. Um, I want to see if anything changes once the cycling part starts happening, but I have a feeling it's going to be probably 2 or 3 more videos until we're able to do that. And in the meantime, too, I am going to be looking on auction for a couple things, possibly a gun as well. Um, I'm starting to think that if we had something a tiny bit better and in many different ways, this might actually go a little bit better. And that's most likely the case. But again, we're kind of getting some data points, collecting some data, and trying to see what works, what doesn't, what works better, and all that. And obviously documenting that process to some extent. So anyway, guys, that's the video. That's where we're at right now in the massive run. And yeah, like the video if you're still watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.